Hello, lovely loves. Thanks for joining me today. And I wanted to get on camera, and I'm going to try to start getting on camera at least a couple times a week just to kind of show you guys that I'm still here. I'm still a person. Um, I just have a pretty busy life, but I wanted to go ahead and get on here and talk about, we'll do the same setup as before, but this time it's going to be a homeschooling topic. It's going to be on roots and rigor. So that's a section where I talk about kind of my best practices and homeschool systems and processes that I do. Like kind of like the Notion videos. I'll put some more Notion videos up, and I may talk a little bit about Notion today, or at least show you some on the screen. So it's going to be about goals and checklists and building consistency. So stay tuned. So as far as goals and checklists go, I feel like they're important because you want to build consistency in your homeschool. Children learn through repetition, and children feel safe enough to learn through having a consistent thing that they do. So if there's a consistency going on, they know what to expect, they feel safe, they feel secure, and then they can start learning more and opening themselves up to learn. So I like to start with my why, and every year it may change, but there's always an overreaching why. So maybe your overreaching why is I want to nurture my child's natural connection with the divine and allow them to be able to fully connect with that part of themselves and know that there's something higher leading them their lives, and they know that and they trust that. Well, that's a pretty high and lofty goal, and we definitely do need to work toward that every day a little bit within our homeschool. But you also might need a practical goal for every year. Maybe your aspect is that you want to, say, have your child be able to do multiplication through nine, or maybe you want them to be able to write an essay, a 4-page essay, and edit it themselves and be able to feel confident in that they can organize it, do an outline, edit it, and maybe even confidently read it out loud and work on those communication and verbal skills. So I like to have goals kind of a little bit in every subject, and then also like an overreaching goal that is for the year. And even for the semester, like maybe I'm giving a goal that I feel like could be done in a semester. Like he needs to really understand his decimal points and how that relates to fractions. That's hopefully something you can tackle in a semester. And what I normally do is I'll start the beginning of the year with these goals. I'll write them down, maybe even for myself, my personal Notion page that I keep for them, or on my personal tablet where I keep notes and things for my calendar. So I'll write down what my personal goals are for each of my kids, if there is that one in each of the subjects. And then I come back and look at it again in January, see if we need to reassess, if we haven't really worked toward them at all and we need to really get on that, or if maybe it wasn't quite as serious as I thought it was. Um, so let's see here. And it should be achievable. Another thing that I do is I make sure that every day we have a must do item. So, for instance, maybe this is um, Monday. Monday, we always do our math. We do Life of Fred, we math journal, and I make sure I'm checking into their personal math that they're doing every day. So they're doing these things every day, but there's a day of the week where this is a priority. Like this has to get done this day. And Tuesdays, maybe it's writing. We're going to prioritize that there's writing being done this day. Wednesday, maybe it's read aloud. We're going to prioritize that we're going to read aloud today. Maybe there's a co-op, which we do co-op. So we maybe don't school quite as much, but we school year round, and we still do school even throughout the holidays. It's just we have a holiday like Christmas school kind of thing that's a little less. And then, of course, I still have what I'd like to do in addition to that one thing. But the reason why I have this is my one thing we have to do today is because There are days where things happen. We get visitors this day. We have an appointment to do this day. So I can look and say, okay, we have visitors, we have things to do this day, but we have to do history today because Wednesday is my history day. So we'll still do history even when we get back from that appointment, or we'll still put in history even after the visitors leave. And what we may even do, if something is crazy and we really don't get it done, we usually have Fridays as a catch-up day, and we'll say, okay, Friday, we're going to do this. So this is just a way for us to stay consistent and to have these things we do every day. One thing I've also noticed is that with my kids specifically, if I have them set up where we're consistently doing this, like they ask for it. Like they'll say, hey, we're supposed to be doing this today. Can we do this? Like, even if maybe I'm off my game and I forget that, Wednesday's history day, they'll come to me and they'll say, hey, we're supposed to be doing history today. Like, can we do history? Or can we? And I mean, even my daughter, she came to me and said, I really would like for us to study to do our copy work, or we're doing a course in miracles and we're doing the affirmations there and we're listening to the videos. Like, she wanted that. She didn't want it to be something that was put on her to do maybe on her own. She wanted it to be a part of our routine, because setting up a routine builds consistency, and it also builds like a sense of safety within them. So routines are really important. Okay, so another thing I wanted to talk about is the eat the frog first concept. So what I do is, whatever that priority is for that day, and I know I put a link up or a graphic up just showing you a list of what maybe ours was before. And if there are two things, maybe there are, especially if we're at a season where we're only schooling 3 days a week, one-on-one, and then co-op, and then we have like a catch-up day on Friday. So what I do is I make sure that on that day, we do those things first. Like right after, we'll do our morning work, which is our morning routine, which just sets us up for the day. And then right after that, we are doing those things that are the priority. And we're always going to do them. Like, they know, well, we have to do these things today because Monday is our math day. So we're going to be doing math today regardless. And they actually have spelling that they do on Mondays too. And I actually will talk a little bit about that more in the Rise, Read, and Repeat series, where we talk about reading and building literacy. So I also like to say, to begin with the littles, I have a 5-year-old, so it's always better if I begin with him. He wakes up earlier anyway than my other two. So block scheduling is something that we use, and then also subject looping. So the subject looping is kind of more on the things that we don't have to do every day. So for a while though, I did prioritize art. So we did art. It was in the loop, and I can show you kind of the way I did. I think I might have done a video on it where I did our morning work and how we do it. It had art in there. So it wasn't really a loop thing. It was looped in, where we did it twice a week. And then we also, at one point, we were looping like certain writing things and geography, and it was because it wasn't of top priority, so I looped it in. So there was a day where on Fridays we would do one thing from loop, and then we would have our games or whatever we needed to catch up on, and that was kind of like how the whole homeschooling day went. And so I think it's important to possibly do it, especially if you feel like you're missing certain things, like, oh, I'm not really getting all the things. 'Cause, I mean, you can look at curriculum and you can say, oh my goodness, I'm going to do all of these things. And then when it comes down to actually implementing them, like, you only have so much time per day, and you have the important things you need to get done. So this is kind of for like those other extra things that maybe you really want to do, but you feel like you don't really have the time for. Like, maybe there's a certain art curriculum or a music curriculum or anything like that. Or maybe it's even just hands-on things that you'd like to do. I also think you need to build consistent start and end times. And this is like, every day we start at 9 and we end around 2 p.m. So, and we have lunch around 12. We have a break. and we have maybe another little break for depending. I mean, the littles always start first to me because they get up earlier. They want your attention first. And if they get your attention first, they're much better throughout the day. So we'll start with the littles, then we go to the other two older kids, and we go, well, let's start with our routine, which is our normal everyday morning work, which includes copy work. There's a little bit of grammar. I can put it up on the screen so you can see kind of how it goes, and it loops with different things every day. And so we begin with the littles, start and end times. Scheduling in the fun is actually something that I personally have to do because I've seen some videos of some moms that say that they end up not getting things done because they're not planning. I'm a planner. I plan, I execute, but what I do is I always prioritize the things that I think that are important, which are them learning the skills, but I may not prioritize the games and the experiment and the fun art days and the fun messy days and the baking and all those things. And so I actually have to schedule those in to my schedule. The best times on our homeschool are when I take time and I look at what we're learning and I write down or put into Notion, when we do this lesson, we are going to also bake these cookies. Or when we do this lesson, we are also going to, especially if I buy something, I'm going to use it then. I bought these owl pellets. So we have to dissect these owl pellets now because I've spent money on them. So this is a fun thing that I have scheduled into my day because I've noticed that if I just willy-nilly wing it, like whatever curriculum we're in, and I say, oh, it's time to do the fun thing. It says it on the page. I'm looking at the page. I haven't planned for it. It might say, I mean, even if it's stuff we have, like we may have all the stuff. We have a lot of stuff. So we may have all the things that we need for this experiment, but I haven't planned for it. And I'm just like, if I don't set myself up before, I'm emotionally drained and I'm physically like, do I really want to get out this water tube, and do I really want to get these paints out and these sponges and have them put together this sponge paint thing? Like, it's just not going to happen because unless I plan it and it's something extra, I'm doing the checklist and then I'm like, okay, we're done. So that's why I have to kind of checklist plan that way and schedule in the fun. Because when I schedule in the fun, it happens. And because I looked at my schedule and it says, you're going to be painting today. So I can sit there at the beginning of the week and say, oh, Thursday we're painting. And I've already set the expectation for myself. So in closing, I just want you to just think that the small rhythm, if it's done daily, it could really change the homeschool feel. So just think about for yourself, like what changes could you make within your rhythm, within your routine that would help to change the whole setup and kind of just how important that is. I can't stress it enough. Just having a routine. You don't have to have every little thing blocked down to every hour. This is what we do at this hour. It's up. Things don't get done. I really like the thought of having these are the important things for the day, because let's say it's Monday and my important thing is math, and we decide to do math and they're so excited about it that they want to do other things with it. And so they end up spending 2 hours on these math concepts. Well, that's the only important thing I had to do that day. Maybe then I can send them off to do their independent work and we can do something fun, and then that's it. At least I've got that one thing done. And I'm okay with that. But if you have no type of like framework for how you're going to set things up and what you're even going to do, and you just have a bunch of curriculums that you're kind of working through every day, willy-nilly, you'll end up doing the things you like and not so much things you don't. Because whenever an interruption happens, the things that you don't have as much fun with are the things that aren't going to get done. And if you don't schedule enough fun, for me at least, it doesn't happen. If I don't do it, it doesn't happen. So those are kind of my closing words. Leave a message to tell me how you schedule your homeschool, like how you schedule your goals and how you're able to implement them, how you're able to look back and check into them. And this video was helpful to you. Thank you so much for your time. Bye-bye.